My name is Carson. Welcome to Thrifty Garage, a channel where we do everyday repairs, how-tos, and reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Bobcat T66 and the T76. For those that are new to the channel, we run a landscape company and we currently use a Bobcat T650. It has about 1,500 hours on it, and we are looking at switching out machines. We currently have a Bobcat E35 as well, so we are looking at the T66 and T76. This is a hand and foot model, so no HVAC, no cab. We've got the hand controls and the foot controls down there. Part of the reason we're looking at this machine is because our dealer currently doesn't have any other models available to take a look at. We have one of their 76 units on demo, and it is a joystick model, and really trying to decide between the 66 and the 76. The things I like about the 650, we've got a 500-hour review on that. One of the biggest reasons I like the 650 is it has the 17-inch wide track. This is the wide track for the 66, but it only comes in a 15-inch track. The wide track in the 76 does have the same track as the 650, which is 17 inches wide, give or take a half an inch or so. Several subtle differences in the M-Series versus the R-Series. We've got this cast arm, and some of those, we're not really going to talk a lot about that. The stuff that's out there available on other channels, so we're going to try to stick to stay away from the cast arms and the cab and all those different things that make these machines different, and kind of talk about my experience in particular. So 66 versus 76, the biggest things that stick out to me is the 76 is about a foot longer in the rear. Both have the same 74 horsepower motor. This one is just more compact. They did change our chain tie downs, which initially I didn't like. I still not as big of a fan. I think we'll end up getting some hooks to go over here if we end up going with this model. Or I found if you chain up and over and then down, you can run the chain underneath there and then back up the other side. So that works out okay. The engine is longitudinally mounted instead of laterally, and supposedly they just have more working room. Again, a lot of other feedback on that from other channels, but what I really want to look at is performance. And after running this machine for a little bit, in fact, let's get in there and see how many hours we have on this. We picked this up with 1.3 hours. Currently has 1.9 hours, so we put 0.6 hours on this, so not too much. I don't think I've ever run a machine with the hand foot controls. I used to run a Case 95 XT back in the day, about 15 years ago, but everything else since then has been ISO controls with the joystick. These just feel weak. It feels like it takes a lot of work to get the tracks to move forward when you're pushing to a hill. They're just weak, so it's gonna be hard for me to really compare a 66 versus a 76 as far as that's going, because I'm also comparing a 66 hand foot versus a 76 joystick control. But I just took out a tree, which will show you an overlay video. I took out one of those trees with the 76, and I took out another tree with the 66. I don't have footage of the 76 taking out the tree, but I do have footage of the 66. And that 76 literally took 2 or 3 hits, and that tree came down super fast, super easy. Because I only have 0.6 hours on the joystick controls, I will say I'm not as experienced operating this type of control, so that might play into it a little bit, but it just really didn't have the oomph behind it in order to push down that tree. The 76 does weigh an additional 1,000 or 1,500 pounds maybe, maybe 2,000 pounds, but I want to say it's about 1,000 or 1,500 pounds extra. And supposedly the extra weight, that's really comes in handy when you're taking out bigger trees, when you need some extra momentum, when you need some extra counterweight on the rear in order to lift things. The other thing with the T66 is this morning I was pushing into several big dump truck load piles of dirt, and I could literally just drive up to the pile. It's not advisable because a lot of the dirt will push over your bucket, but I could just push the whole pile, and I end up going over about half the pile and then pushing the other half of the pile, and I'm able to move several yards worth of dirt because the 76 just has so much pushing power. It's like a little bulldozer. And the 66 just doesn't have the oomph like the 650 and the 76 do. So that's very noticeable difference. A pro for the 66 and the size is it is a little bit more nimble on a job site, and that really is nice considering the work we do. Having employees, having all these different things on site, fences, houses, sheds, trees. The smaller the machine is, the better in order to get around. Really, ideally, we would like to have a skid steer in the arsenal and then a mini track machine like the MT100. But the MT100 is just not available right now. I have seen a few used units go through that I thought about snagging, but I think we're really kind of just trying to decide between a skid and a mini skid, and I think that a skid's going to do more good for us because we need the ability to lift up some pallets in the winter as well as during the summer, and a mini skid just not going to do that for us. Thoughts and comments on the open cab versus enclosed cab. The open cab is just going to be like an old machine. The new enclosed cabs are a lot quieter. I have noticed on that 76 there's a musty smell inside the cab, so I think they're sealed so well now that it actually is holding humidity and moisture in there, which is causing it to kind of smell up the cab. The other thing that I don't like with these newer machines, and the old ones were a little bit of a problem, but you basically have to prime the computer. You have to turn on the computer and wait for it to come on. It takes about 30 seconds for the first time, and then after you do that, as you're in and out of the cab all day, you're pretty much fine. It's not just as quick, but that first startup of the day, it's really a slow process. I usually like to hop in the machine, and even on the 650, before I get in the machine, I'll actually turn the key to the on position and just let it start booting up and loading that controller. The open cab here has a pretty dumbed down screen. It's not a touch screen. You have to use the control knob, and that's a little bit takes a little bit of getting used to. The touch screen with cell phones and everything else nowadays, that seems to be just our intuition, and it you kind of have to think through how to work that. As far as the track's concerned, I don't know if these tracks are any longer or shorter than the 76. The 76 might be a little bit longer if I were to throw a guess at it, but they could be identical. Like I said, the width is a little bit different, and then the pressure per square inch, I think it actually might be less pressure per square inch on the 66 than it is on the 76, but both are pretty light footing with the wide tracks, which a lot of the reason we prefer the wide tracks is when we're turning on grass, they don't tear it up so bad. So if we go new machine, we're actually looking at getting a multi-bar setup instead of the C-tracks. The C-tracks have suited us well in the 650 with a 17-inch track, but trying something new. I know there's a lot of good feedback out there on the multi-bar. She likes to shake her ass, we climb into the beach. She likes to